G'day fellas. Today we're going to be looking at the very first of the Fast Fortress guides that I'm going to be putting out over the next week. The first civilization that we're going to be looking at is Sweden. Now, when you're doing a Fast Fortress or a semi-Fast Fortress, some civilizations are going to want to take a trading post and some civilizations aren't going to want to take a trading post. Because Sweden is still a new civilization and we're still working out the meta for Sweden, at the moment I'm still a little bit up in arms about which way to go. The first idea is that you get a trading post in the first stage at the very beginning of the game, and the second idea is that you put 2 torps down at the beginning of the game and you get a trading post in your transition. There's also a third idea, which is that you don't get a trading post at all and you just go completely torp it up. What we're going to be looking at on this game is we're going to be looking at the first build, and the reason why I've elected to do the trading post in the first stage is because we're playing on Siberia, and Siberia is a map where you start with an outpost. So it naturally means if you've got an outpost that you're able to play more defensively, because if anybody wants to rush you, they're going to be up against your town center and an outpost. If anyone wants to raid you, your town center and that outpost. So just by me having that outpost, that's going to affect the mindset of the opponent, and it's going to mean that I can put more torps down because I can care more about my economy. I can put my barracks down later, and as a result, I don't have to worry about raids coming in from them because they're thinking about that extra outpost. Now, if you guys caught it, you would have seen the travois just past my trade post towards the left of the screen. So I made a very simple mistake at the beginning of the game. Not only did I use my crack shot on a treasure guardian, instead of walking to the trade post immediately, I picked up the treasure. And by doing that, it meant that I missed the first pass. And by missing the first pass, it means that instead of getting my first shipment at about 1 minute 1 second, I'm now going to be getting it a lot later than that. So just a very quick tip: when you are planning on building a trade post at the very beginning of the game, make sure you walk your explorer down there immediately. You can take a crack shot, but make sure you get him to the trade post very quickly. So just before we picked our deck, what we did is we made sure that we checked the enemy's civilization to determine whether we needed a land defense deck or just a land deck. And so because they're Germans, we're just going to go with the standard land deck. We're not going to be needing to worry about any rush that's coming in. They're not Ottomans, they're not Russians, and on top of that, they've got that lovely outpost to deal with. So just taking a quick look at the deck, what we're going to be doing or aiming for in this game is we're going to be aiming for 3 settlers to start with, then blueberries, then we're going to be shipping 700 wood once we've aged up, and then we're going to be taking ironworks. This should be enough to get us through to the 3rd age with a competitive time and enable us to have an absolutely monstrous economy. And as long as we survive past 10 or 11 minutes, we will win the game. It's very simple. Now, there are a couple of different build orders that you can do. This build order is being done because the map is Siberia. If this was Texas or another defensive map, or even a map that was a little bit further away, I would still be doing this build order. And the reason why is because the blueberries card is such an incredibly strong card. I've spoken with a number of high level people, and there does seem to be a bit of controversy about how strong people think this card is. I'm of the opinion that this card is incredibly strong, but that's a topic for another video. In the event that we weren't playing on this map in this matchup, we would most likely be going 3 villages, ironworks, 700 wood, and then 700 gold, depending on whether we needed it or not. One of the things I've done early in this game is that I've herded the hunt that was behind my town center into my town center very early. You can see we're only at the 2 minute mark here and it's already underneath my town center. The reason why is because of my torp. I need my torp to be gathering from an animal, and I need it to be gathering from an animal as soon as it's up and running. The initial starting hunt that I've got underneath my town center, the animals aren't tied to each other. So if you shoot one, all of the others aren't going to move and follow it. And so because of that, I'm unable to move them down to my coin mine. So it's important that you get this hunt in and under that torp immediately. The treasures that I'm looking for are ideally XP treasures. In the beginning of the game, you want to focus on getting wood treasures while you're still building torps, but then you really want to hunt for XP treasures. I've been very fortunate this game to come across a really big XP treasure, and that means that I'm going to be able to get all the shipments I need, and I'm going to be able to get them all on time. Ideally, when you're playing Sweden, you don't really need to worry about hunts. What you need to be doing is worrying about coin mines and hunts together. Ideally, what you're going to want is to find every single coin mine a hunt that can go with it. And what you're going to do is you're going to herd that hunt onto the coin mine, and then you're just going to murder all of the animals on top of that coin mine. Because you can't keep the villager there constantly poking the hunt back towards the coin mine, so the best thing to do is just quite simply murder all of the hunt and keep it on the coin mine. Throughout this game, you'll see me continue to do that on each of the coin mines and make sure that all of the hunt are dead around it, or at least some of the hunt is dead around it. And occasionally I will come back and herd it if I'm planning on coming back through that way. So I might send a villager out to one coin mine and then onto a next one, and I'm going to need to bring that villager back in, so I'll leave the hunt alive. So as we transition into the second age, we're moving every single settler onto wood. The only ones that we're not moving onto woods are the ones that we've got out at the moment that are going to be our forward settlers. It's really important we get these settlers out early. We need to be moving them into position. So there you see I'm moving a second settler out, putting it into position, and I'm getting ready for him to herd back towards that coin mine because he's going to need to make sure that all of these hunts are being gathered by the torps. So I'm aging up with the governor here. Now the reason why we're going for the governor is because we're going to be looking at doing a fast fortress or a semi-fast fortress fortress, we're not going to be able to make use of the arsenal in the second age, which means that we're not really gaining anything from it. Sure, it's 250 wood, but it's 250 wood that we're not going to be utilizing. We will build an arsenal later in the game, but we're not going to be massing Carolians, and we're not going to be staying in the second age for more than 10 minutes. So that means that we don't really need to worry about it. Because we've taken blueberries, our torps are going to be gathering a lot faster than what they normally would. Even though we only have a small amount of settlers that are on food, we don't need to worry about our food income because our torps are going to provide us all the food that we need to continue creating settlers. So our first card is 700 wood. So with this 700 wood, we're going to be making sure that we gather it up as quickly as we can, and we're going to be putting down a heap of torps all over the map with it. So here you can see I've got my settlers in position. I'm herding in the hunts, making sure they're all good to go. Now, I could put up a barracks at this point, but because it's Siberia, I'm satisfied that it's going to be a little bit longer before the enemy actually comes in. I've got heaps of outpost coverage as well. I've got 2 outposts. I'm not worried at all. Now, we did age up a little bit late. Normally a 5-minute age up is a little bit too late, but as again I said earlier, because it's Siberia, it's not a problem. We're taking our time here. So there we go, herding back towards the torps, making sure that they're all taking shots at all of the deer that they can, so they've got plenty to eat. Now, that's going to give them a heap of food. It'll last them between about 4 and 5 minutes. The woods come in, we send a couple of settlers over to collect it immediately, and now we're going to put our barracks down with that. You can see we're already at 70 population, making sure that we send ironworks as our third card. You can see that we've already got 450 coin. We don't even have ironworks at this stage, so we really don't need that early coin generation. What's important is that that's going to enable us to get up to that important 1,000 coin, and then we're going to be able to age up to the third age. In the meantime, we just continue almost completely on wood. All of our torps are going up. You can see herding into the torps, making sure there's plenty of dead animals around, and just getting all those torps down. Now you can see that we're floating 650 resources at the moment for wood. Now that's not an issue, and the reason why is because we're going to be putting a whole bunch of torps down over the next minute or so, and it's important that we get them down in the right position because it's much better to have them on good spots. Now we've got our very first German raid. I think he's just scouted out our trade post and some of our torps. The line of sight magically would have gone on to those naturally. And I spot the German explorer. I tried to send my villager away, but unfortunately my villager got stuck in there, so I had to sort him out. But fortunately, I don't think he saw my villager down there building because he didn't send out any ulans down that way. So we're keeping up torp production. We're just making sure we continue moving on to the next mine once we're finished with the previous one. There he is. We sort out that little settler. Make sure he shoots the hunt back the right way. So it's important to chase down the enemy explorer when you've got the opportunity to. Here you can see that we don't really have to worry about it. It's all pretty much set and forget. And an enemy raid comes in. Now, it's very hard to see on this map, so I try and make sure that all my villages are safe, but then I realize, the ones right next to my town center, they're not safe, and I miss a batch of Carolians. So ideally, you want to make sure that you get 5 Carolians out there. When you're under pressure, you do make mistakes. So I've sent my settler away as well. That settler that was making those torps, you can see that there's ulans have just run past them, so I just want to keep him alive. That settler, his job is just to make torps. That's all he needs to do for the rest of the game. And so I'm just going to send him to the other side of the map. He can make some torps over there. It doesn't really matter if those torps are on my gold mines or his gold mines. They're going to be difficult for him to siege as a German. He's not going to have access to that 2 falconet shipment, which means if he does want to siege, he's going to have to do it with his army. And the longer that this game goes for, the more likely it is we win, because we've got just such a big economy. Now, speaking of economy, you can see where we're up to. We're up to 1,100 food. We're on 750 coin, so we're a little bit behind at this point. Had we shipped Engelberg first, we definitely would have been doing a lot better. So we found a really good spot over here on his mine. So there's 2 hunts there. So we're going to take both of those. We're going to kill all of those animals on top of that hunt, or on top of that mine. And it's going to enable us to just completely take off. And it's going to deny him those hunts as well. So here we are again, aging up. Taking the exiled prince to age up. So you can see this is going to be an age up before 9 minutes, so not a shabby time. Now, he has already hit the 3rd age, so it's quite typical with Germans that they're going to be hitting the 3rd age before you, but that's not something that you need to worry about. In this matchup, they are the aggressor. You're going to stay in your base. So what's our goal here now that we've clicked up? So the first thing is we're going to maintain production of Carolians. That's the important thing. The Carolians are going to be everything to us. They're our mass of units. They're going to protect our falconets when our falconets arrive. So we're going to put down a second barrack so that we can support it. You can see already just how much coin and food income that we've got because of the blueberries card. And I don't have the wood to be able to build the barracks to support it. So you can see the second racks comes up. We're just going to absolutely fill that one out immediately. We're going to want to research veterancy for our Carolians very quickly. So here, instead of building another torp, even though I really badly want to, we're saving that and we're going to be researching the veteran upgrade. Now, we don't want to fight until we've got that. If we have to fight, then so be it. But ideally, if they're pushing the town center, we stay back and we hold on until we've got that upgrade. That's a huge upgrade for us. And then after we've shipped our 9 Carolians, we're going to be getting the 2 Falconets. So we've got an absolutely huge mass. We've got 35 Carolians at the moment. And realistically, against a German player, so the most likely thing that you're going to see out of them is a large skirmisher mass. And normally they're going to push in with a fair bit of Uhlans. I suspect in this matchup, you're probably going to start to see German players playing with more artillery. So most likely just Culverin. Even just pushing in with 1 Culverin really absolutely just destroys the 2 Falconet card. It mitigates it hugely. So in this situation, all we need to do is we just need to mass Carolians and keep our 2 Falconets safe. That's literally how we win the game. At this stage of the game, our economy is significantly larger than the Germans' economy. So the longer that this game goes on, the more likely we are that we're going to win. Okay, so now we have the enemy pushing in. You can see there's quite a large group of Uhlans that are coming, and there's 4 Falconets behind it. So I was expecting maybe a Culverin or 2. I wasn't expecting 4 Falconets, so it was a little bit of a rude shock for me. So my very first reaction to this is I want to try and pick off any Uhlans that I can, but I also want to put down an artillery foundry because I need to build Culverins. I can't take these 4 cannons on unless I've got Culverins. They're just too big. The Uhlans are going to give them enough space. And there you can see I've mismicroed a little bit. What I want to do is I want to just keep picking off those Uhlans. And we're just really fighting for position here. I've got to be so careful not to lose my Falconets. These Falconets are what are going to allow me to push out here. So I've decided I'm going to try and go in because I saw the Uhlans move over to the left. I thought I might be able to get in. But you can just see with the speed of the Uhlans, they're able to cover the cannons very effectively. And there's not a lot that we can really do. So it's important that I just try and avoid trading. Because if those Falconets do get a volley off, they're just going to absolutely destroy. There you go. Look at that. That's 6 or 7 dead muskets. And look, there's another 8 muskets dead. So, you know, I'm down to only a handful of muskets now. I think I've got about 27. He's pushing in at this point. There's not really a lot I can do. So I've just got to rush him. But fortunately, he's not paying attention. He's got a whole bunch of infantry there, and it's really not helping him out. It should have been in front of his cannons, and from this point on, it's good game. There's nothing that he can do in this position, and you can watch the scores will reflect it when the scores do update. But my economy, I've got 28 settlers, and I've got 20 torps just going overtime. I've got the blueberries card, and I've got ironworks. So I've effectively got about 70 villages at the moment. And you can see, so now I can begin putting pressure on the map. Now that I've killed this fast fortress, I can begin pressuring the map. So immediately I send my Carolians out. I'm putting down my arsenal so I can get my speed upgrade and get my melee upgrade. We're pressuring the map, so we're going to take out trade posts. We're going to look for settlers on gold mines. That's really key. So the enemy has taken 2 trade posts. Now you can see we're up 3,500 score. That means we're up a hell of a lot of resources. So all we need to do in this position is don't make any mistakes. As long as we don't just waste our army into, you know, 5 Falconets or something like that, we win this game. That's the key. So from here, my philosophy is to play safe. And what does play safe mean? That means put down another town center, put down another 2 town centers, build some settlers, get that population, you know, booming. And we're going to fast forward here just because this game does continue on for quite a bit. I'll show you a couple of the fights and just tell you what my mindset is behind when it comes to the micro. So here's the next fight that happens. So he's shipped Jaegers and he's pushing in with a whole bunch of Uhlans. I think that he believes that these Uhlans are actually Hussars, but unfortunately they're just Uhlans and they get absolutely destroyed. So I put a few of my muskets or my Carolians into melee, see if I can get some work done. Keep in mind right now I've got 3 Falconets that are about to pop. Make that 5 Falconets that are about to pop. Here we go. So all they need to do is get 1 volley off, but I'm a little bit slow with microing them. Ideally I should have had my Carolians a little bit further in the front, and unfortunately we don't get off a single volley. But by him seeing those, he knows I am not one to be fucked with now. He's going to be like, alright, I don't have time for that guy. So I'm essentially, just by having those falconets, I buy myself further time, even though it looks like it wasn't a very good trade for me. I bought time, and that's how I win the game. And now the final battle of the game. So again, the German pushes underneath my town center. I pop out some culverin. These culverin are going to be dealing with the heavy cannons. And so essentially, in this fight, all I want to do is keep my musketeers in the front. I don't mind if a couple of them die. I need to get these culverin onto the heavy cannons. That's all my mission is. All I'm doing is making sure, there we go. Culverins on the heavy cannon. First one's dead. Microing the second one, taking it out. Where is it? There it is. Second heavy cannon's dead. That's it. Fight one. Just simply with those culverins. And then from here, I've just try and keep as many falconets alive as I possibly can, because that's going to ensure that I'm able to carry the game. And so now all the Uhlans have died. I've got all my falconets. Still got 7 of those bad boys. And I've got nothing to worry about here. The enemy's 11,000 points down, but still, we play it safe. All it takes is a small group of Uhlans to get behind your muskets, and all your falconets are destroyed. And now you've lost your entire lead. Sure, you've got your economy behind you, but you've lost a whole lot of units needlessly. So build them up, then walk to the base of your enemy when you're maxed, and, well, he doesn't want to even fight you, so from there it's pretty much over. Anyway, I hope that you've enjoyed this overview of the Swedish Fast Fortress. If you think that there's anything I missed, make sure you leave a comment down below, because I do go through those comments. And thank you very much for watching.